Does marriage counseling work? Here we go. So I have some experience in this. I used to be married. I used to go to marriage counseling, and so does it work? And you're looking to go. It depends. So if you and your significant other want to go, then it will help. It's not a silver bullet. It's not going to cure everything. I don't care how much counseling you go to. As a matter of fact, too much marriage counseling can actually hurt your relationship because you're always reminded of things are bad, 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 things are bad. You don't want that either. But if both, let's start off with that. If both parties want to go, then it'll have a higher percentage of being a good tool. It's a tool. It's not the tool. It's not a silver bullet. Nothing is. But counseling can assist. Let's put it that way. You have to do other things too, right? But and so if both parties want to go, it can be a plus. I would say also if you and your wife or husband or partner like each other, then it can have a higher degree of working because you could love someone but not like them. So you have to love them and like them for marriage counseling to work. So if you genuinely like your partner, you enjoy being around each other, then marriage counseling more than likely will work. But if you're like, I can't stand this person, we've just grown apart, or I shouldn't have married the person, I shouldn't be dating the person, whatever, we're so opposite, then man, nothing's going to help you. You're just probably better off parting ways. And marriage counselors will tell you that, So now I didn't know this, but there's marriage counselors who are marriage friendly, meaning that they will not recommend divorce. Because a lot of marriage counselors will say, hey, you know what, cut your losses. So, my thing is, if you're going to go to a marriage counselor, you want to save the marriage. You know what I mean? If you want to get divorced, go to the lawyer. So and I would say that if you have a problem that's relatively medium to superficial, marriage counseling can work. So if you and your partner generally get along, you generally like each other, but you're having problems with he or she works too much, or he or she, I don't know, doesn't want to go on vacations with the kids, or you're not there, because you're busy working, like that's stuff that can be solved with marriage counseling. Or maybe, your communication style is different. That could work, marriage counseling. But again, if you just genuinely don't want to be around that person anymore, then it's over. Cut your losses, get divorced, and that's that. So marriage counseling can work. I think there can be too much marriage counseling because marriage counseling reminds you things are bad, 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 things are bad. So like anything, too much of anything, right? You can get too much of a good thing. So I would say, generally speaking, you want to go to marriage counseling. I don't know, man. No, I would say no more than once a week, maybe just once every other week. And marriage counseling costs money. And you got to do some homework, and shouldn't, if you go to marriage counseling, don't use it as a session to shit on your partner. I know it's tempting. We're all humans, but and I think a good marriage counselor should probably, yeah, not take sides, but just listen, because a lot of your quote unquote cure is going to just come from you speaking out loud. Kind of like going to therapy for yourself. A good therapist listens more than talks. So because you're just going to hear yourself figure your own way out of the problem, really. But you may say, well, then why would I go to a marriage counselor? Well, a good counselor guides you and is able to extract that from you, asking, poignant, deep questions so you can help, yourself. It's kind of like going to the gym. You know what I mean? The weights help you, but the weights can't do anything without you lifting them. So the therapist is the weight, or the exercise machine. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of counseling. And I would say this too, even if your relationship ends, counseling is not necessarily a bad thing, because counseling can also help kind of help in the times that are hard, and you might wind up getting divorced anyways, but it can help kind of lessen the blow or lessen the weight while you're in the relationship. So that could be a good thing. And you may want to go to counseling one-on-one for yourself also, your own separate counselor or whatnot. A man or woman counselor, I mean, it depends on, I guess, what you and your spouse or significant other want to do. But so yeah, I think counseling can help in, like I said, medium problems to small problems. But if you got somebody oddly enough, I would say If your spouse cheated on you once, that might be a good reason to see a counselor. But if your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend has a parallel secret relationship with somebody else, I'd say no. But counseling I think is good for like acute kind of things that pop up, but not systemic, deep. Like I just don't like this person. Like we just don't get along. We fight about everything. I can't. No counselor can save that. You know what I mean? Counselors are good at like, repairing some cracks here and there. That's good. But if you got, God forbid, someone's, violent all the time as a pattern, or habitually cheating, or has a massive drug habit, not, you drink too much on the weekends. I'm talking like deep seated stuff. I don't know, like that's something they have to go see their own personal counselor for. But you may have to part ways in a marriage. Again, it gets complicated if you have children, some of that. But I think marriage counseling is good again for like superficial, smaller problems, maybe medium problems. But if it's like really big stuff, I don't know. Maybe like marriage counseling might be good with like, you're always, listening to your mom, you live under your mom's thumb. Like counseling could help that. You know what I mean? Again, if you and your significant other have a good relationship, you like each other, there's no big, massive problems happening, but it's small little things, just one or two small things. Counseling is definitely get ahead of it. You know what I mean? And maybe try out different counselors, So you might want to actually try out Talkspace or BetterHelp. They're online apps that have marriage counseling too, and the convenience in your own home. You can use it's FaceTime. I don't care if you use it or not, but you do you. But it's definitely worth a try. And so good luck. And if you've used marriage counseling, you tell me. I mean, has it worked for you?